All right, today we're going to be talking about long division. So we're heading into our polynomial section and we're going to talk about two types of division, which remember factoring is the undoing of multiplication, which is simply division. And we are going to be talking about long division, and then the next lesson will be synthetic division. So these notes are attached to Canvas if you wanted to print these out so that you had them. It's completely up to you. But basically, I'm going to give you 6 steps, and then we're going to go over some examples from there. All right, so with long division, just like with long division with basic numbers, you still have to make sure that everything is in order, and you have to make sure that you set things up properly. So for step 1, you need to make sure the polynomial is written in descending order. So when we say descending order, so I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. So descending order means that I start with the largest exponent and I work my way down to the smallest, okay? So after we do the descending order, if any terms are missing, so let's say that I have x to the 5th, and then I have x to the 4th, and then I jump all the way to x squared, and I'm missing that x to the 3rd, you actually are going to have to put a placeholder. So you're going to have to put a placeholder of 0. The reason you want a placeholder is because you want to make sure everything lines up properly when you're doing your division. And again, this will help with the spacing and the making sure things are lined up. All right, so step 2, after you've put it in descending order, you've put placeholders where any pieces are missing with a 0, you're going to actually divide the term with the highest power inside the division symbol. So you're going to divide the power with the division symbol into the highest power outside of the division symbol. So you basically got to figure out, what do I need to multiply the largest piece by on the outside to make it the piece in the inside. All right, and step 3, after you have figured that out, you're going to distribute or multiply, and you're going to do that in order to obtain the previous piece from that step. So just like you do when you're doing multiplication, once you figure out that top number, you're going to actually multiply it out and bring everything down. And once you've multiplied that all out and you bring everything down, you're going to subtract. So the next piece that you're going to do is you're actually going to subtract. And with that subtraction, you got to make sure that you do it to every piece in the bottom. Now, you're going to do this over and over and over again until you have completed steps 2 through 4 for every term. Then you're going to write your final answer. The term remaining after the last subtraction step, it could have a remainder, it could have a remainder of 0, but you're going to make sure that you write that remainder as a fraction. So when we look at our next piece, we're going to make sure that we write that piece as a fraction itself. So I was trying to find a different color here. So we're going to write it as a fraction. So when we write it as a fraction, we write it as the remainder, and we're going to write the remainder over the divisor. The divisor is what you're dividing by, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through these examples that are on the next page, and we're going to go through how to set it up. We're going to talk about placeholders and all of those key features. So I'm going to go to the next page. All right, so for this problem, I have 3x squared minus 13x minus 10 is divided by x minus 5. So when I'm looking at this problem, I need to know that this is my dividend. So my dividend is what is actually being divided. And this is my divisor. My divisor is what I'm dividing into the dividend, okay? So when I set this up, I like to set it up just like you would a long division problem, okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my pieces, and I'm going to make sure that they're going in descending order. So I have x squared, x, and then no x. So that is going in descending order, and I do not need any placeholders. So this is going to go inside for long division. So my divisor also has to be in order. And in any placeholders, I'm going to put x minus 5. All right. So at this point, we're going to look and we're going to say, okay, I have x. What do I need to multiply x by to give me 3x squared? Well, x times what gives me 3x squared is going to be 3x itself. So 3x times x will give me 3x squared when we multiply it back out. So when we distribute these pieces back out, they should still have that same monomial or same term, okay? You want it to match. So then I'm going to do 3x times negative 5 is going to give me negative 15x. Now right here is where students mess up the most. When I say the next step was to subtract. So when I subtract, you have to subtract that entire piece. A lot of students forget to subtract the entire piece. So 3x squared, all right, so I'm going to kind of point. So this 3x squared right here minus 3x squared, the whole point of that is that that should cancel. So that should be gone. All right, so then I have negative 13x right here minus negative 15x. So negative 13x minus negative 15x. So minus a negative is actually going to turn that to positive 15. So that's going to be 2x. And we're going to bring down that minus 10. All right, so we're going to repeat that process all over again, but now we're going to do it with the actual 2x. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, what do we need to multiply x by to give me 2x? Okay, so I need to multiply x and 2 to give me 2x. So now I'm going to distribute that 2. So again, I'm going to point it out. So I have 2 here. So 2 times x is going to give me 2x. And then I have 2 times negative 5. So 2 times negative 5, that's going to give me minus 10. So for here, remember you have to subtract the whole piece. That's the most common mistake. So 2x minus 2x, that goes away. Negative 10 minus negative 10 is actually going to be 0. That is going to be super important later on. Right now we're just learning the process, but the fact that this has no remainder means something very significant. And what it means is it means that this piece right here, this divisor, is actually a factor of that polynomial. And again, we're going to get into that much more later, but just keep that in mind. The no remainders is super important later on. Okay. All right, so for our next problem. So for number 2, when I look at number 2, I can see that this time it is not in order. So if I highlight some of my pieces, I have x to the third, no x, x squared. So we need to reorder that. So for this one, this is still going to be 12x to the third. That's the largest. Then the next is going to be 20x squared and plus 11x plus 2. And then we're going to divide that by 2x minus 1. And that is already in order, so that works out okay. So I'm going to do 2x plus 1, and I'm going to put in my my dividend inside. Okay. And at that point, I'm going to start the process again. What do I need to multiply 2x by to give me 12x cubed? So 2 times 6 will give me 12. And then x times x squared will give me x cubed. So we're going to take this 6x squared and we're going to multiply it by the 2x and the 1. So that's going to give me 6x squared times 2x is 12x cubed, which is what we want. We want those to match up. If they don't match up, then you've done it wrong. And then 6x squared times 1 is going to give me plus 6x squared. So we're going to subtract that. Those should cancel. So I have 20 minus, so right here I have 20x squared minus 6x squared. So if I have that, that's going to give me 14x squared. And then I'm going to bring down my pieces that are remaining. So plus 11x plus 2. All right, then we're going to start the process over. What do I need to multiply 2x by to give me 14x squared? Okay, so 2 times 7 is going to give me 14, and x times x is going to give me x squared. And then we're going to multiply this back out. We're going to take that 7x, we're going to multiply it by 2x, and then 7x times 1. So that's going to give me 14x squared, and then plus 7x. That should cancel. And now we have 11x minus 7x. So 11x minus 7x is going to give me 4x. Bring down your plus 2. And one more time. So what do I need to multiply 2x by to give me 4x? So if I'm going to be multiplying 2 times 4, and we already have an x, so that's going to be plus 2. Okay. So 2 times 2x is going to give me 4x. 2 times 1 is going to give me plus 2. So subtract those. So again, I have a remainder of 0. Okay. So just to clarify, make sure we're all on the same page here. When I'm looking at these pieces, this right here, that is my answer. Okay. That is my actual quotient that I divided out. Same thing up here. This right here is my answer. That is my quotient when I divide everything out. Okay. All right. So the next one is actually missing some terms, which we're going to correct that. We can miss several terms, so keep that in mind. But for this one, I should see that I'm missing. So I have an x squared, and then I have a no x. So I'm missing that x term. So when I rewrite this, I need to rewrite it with a placeholder. So I have 4x squared plus 0x, because I don't have that x term, and I'm going to put 0 as a placeholder, minus 9. And I'm going to divide that by x squared plus, or excuse me, 2x plus 3. Okay. So I have 2x plus 3 is my divisor. And then I have 4x squared plus 0x minus 9. All right, so what do I need to multiply 2x by to give me 4x squared? And that's going to be 2x. And I'm going to distribute that. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 3 is going to be 6x. So if you notice right now, if we hadn't put that placeholder there, so this placeholder, if I hadn't put it there, then my x's wouldn't have lined up. This 9 minus 9 would have been in with the 6x, and we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure we have the like terms lined up. So we're going to subtract. Now, again, this is probably one of the most common mistakes. So 0x minus 6x. So students want to quickly write 6x because that's what they see. But minus 6x is going to be negative 6x. And then I'm going to bring down my minus 9. All right, so we're going to do it again. What do I need to multiply 2x by to give me negative 6x? So that's going to be negative 3. Negative 3 times 2x is going to be negative 6x. And then negative 3 times 3 is going to be minus 9. Subtract. Negative 6x minus negative 6 is canceling. Negative 9 minus negative 9 is also going to equal 0. So again, I have a remainder of 0. But again, my answer is the quotient that we would have gotten with that division, which would be 2x minus 3. Okay. All right, so before we do the word problem for number 4, I'm going to do one more. I want to do one that does have a remainder and talk about how we set that remainder up. So I'm just going to a separate piece of paper, and my problem is going to be, all right, so I'm going to have x to the third minus 12x squared plus 42, and I'm going to be dividing by, I have x squared minus 2x minus 1, or excuse me, plus 1. All right, so I need to definitely put that placeholder in for the x piece. So I have x to the third power minus 12x squared plus 0x minus 42. And we're going to be dividing that by x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set that divisor up on the outside. We're going to divide that by x cubed minus 12x squared plus 0x plus minus 42. So ask yourself, what do I need to multiply x squared by to give me x cubed? So we're going to put x here. Okay. And we're going to distribute that out. So we have x times x squared is x cubed. We have x times negative 2x, so it's going to be minus 2x squared. And x times 1 is going to give me plus 1x, or just x. So we're going to subtract that. All right, so those cancel. Negative 12 minus negative 2, so that's going to be negative 10x squared. 0 minus x is going to be minus x. Bring down your minus 42. All right, so repeat process. So what do we need to multiply x squared by to give me minus 10x squared? So that's going to be minus 10. Distribute. So negative 10 times x squared is going to be negative 10x squared. Negative 10 times negative 2x is going to be plus 20x. And negative 10 times negative 1 is going to be negative 10. So we're going to subtract there. So negative 10 minus negative 10 should cancel. We have negative x minus negative 20, so that's going to give me negative 21x. And then negative 42 minus negative 10. So negative 42 minus negative 10 is going to give me minus 32. And then I start the question over again. What do I need to multiply x squared by to give me negative 21x? Well, at this point, you should draw concern of the fact that I'm asking what do I need to multiply something by that's bigger in order to get something that is smaller. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to try to figure out negative exponents or rational exponents or anything like that. So at this point, we are going to stop in our process and we're going to understand that this is our remainder. So when I set this up and I were to rewrite it, so my quotient is going to be x minus 10. I got that from this piece up here. So just keep that in mind. And then we need to write our remainder. So our remainder, we're going to do plus negative 21x minus 32 over the divisor. Well, the divisor was x squared minus 2x plus 1. So we're taking the remainder here, and then we're taking the divisor and bringing it down and dividing it. But this whole thing right here is my answer. So this whole thing would be my answer when I finish. Okay? And it could just be a number that's your remainder. Whatever it is, whatever your remainder is, you put it over the divisor. Okay? All right, so I'm actually going to go back now to the second slide. And in my second slide, we were, oops, let me do some erasing here. All right, so this was my problem. It said the rectangular prism has a volume of, and they give you this polynomial, and a height of 2x plus 1. Find the area of the base of the prism. So they gave you the formula that a rectangular prism has volume equals base times height. Well, if we know the volume, so we know the volume here, and we know the height, so we're trying to find the base. So if I'm looking at my problem, if I were to solve for B, that means that in order to solve for B, I would have to take my volume and divide it by my height, which is what I'm trying to find as my base. So at this point, I'm actually going to be dividing. So I'm going to be dividing my volume by my height. So I'm going to take, this is going to be my divisor, is my height. And we're going to be dividing 8x cubed plus 14x squared plus x minus 2. Now this is already in descending order. and even in descending order, there's no placeholders that are needed. Okay, so we can actually just go ahead and start dividing this out. All right, so what do we need to multiply 2x by to give me 8x cubed? So 2x times 8x cubed is going to give me 4x squared. Okay, so then we're going to multiply that out. So that's going to give me 8x cubed. All right, and that's going to give me plus 4x squared. We're going to subtract that. So 8x squared or cubed minus 8x squared is going to cancel. 14 minus 4, that's going to give me 10x squared. Bring down my plus x minus 2. All right, and then from there, we're going to start the process again. We're going to repeat. So what do I need to multiply 2x by to give me 10x squared? So that's going to be plus 5x. So distribute 10x squared plus 5x. Subtract. So cancel. And x minus 5x is going to be negative 4x minus 2. So repeat. What do you need to multiply 2x by to give you negative 4x, which is going to be minus 2. And with minus 2, that's going to give me negative 4x minus 2. If I subtract that, that is going to cancel the 4x's and the minus 2, so I have a remainder of 0. So the question is what is the base of this prism? So my base of the prism is the quotient that I just found, because remember we divided the volume by the height. So therefore my base is the quotient that I just found. That is my base.